Earth empire. First was the world as one great cymbal made, when her jarring winds to infant nature played. All music was a solitary sound, to hollow rocks and murmuring fountains bound. Jubal first made the wilder notes agree, and Jubal turned music's jubilee, called the echoes from their soul and cell, and built the organ city where they dwell. Each sought a concert in that lovely place, and virgin trebles wed the manly bass, from whence the progeny of numbers new into harmonious colonies withdrew. Some to the lute, some to the viol went, and others chose the cornet eloquent, these practising the wind, and those the lyre, to sing man's triumphs o'er in heaven choir. Then music, the mosaic of the air, did of all these solemn noise prepare, with which she gained the empire of the ear, including all between the earth and sphere. Victorious sounds yet here your homage due unto a gentle conqueror than you, who through he flies the music of his praise, would with you heaven's hallelujahs raise. We're reading the poem Music's Empire from Andrew Marvell, who is the critics. One of the critics say that the conqueror, gentle conqueror, is Fairfax, but the other experts claim it's Cromwell. And the Cromwell had a personal love of music. It says, the possible invocation of Cromwell in the final stanza of this apparently simple poem, piece of lays music, might otherwise easily be misinterpreted on the grounds that the poem's subject provides an uncongenial environment for such an allusion. The entire poem had best be quoted. The subject here is hardly a traditional praise of music, though, through allusion to a music harmonia mundi. In the first place, music is dealt with throughout as having undergone a kind of historical evolution paralleling the social history of mankind. In the second place, musical instrumentalis is considered historically prior to the celestial music. Historically prior to it, the celestial harmony. And the notion of practical music as the macrocosmic model of the universal music. Practical music is certainly rearranged, if not actually reversed. Here they have the practical music as the historically prior to the celestial harmony, but the normal one is the celestial harmony, then the practical music. Most important of all, however, is that the musical conceit is combined with the political one in a way vastly different from the more traditional treatment in the first anniversary of the government under O.C. Oliver Cromwell. For example, where conventional musical metaphors and myths are revitalized only in the wit. Musical empire commences with the random sounds of nature. A physical world, quote, as one great cymbal made, is the sounding instrument struck by its own disordering elements. The winds themselves are qualified with the standard epithet of discord jarring, but there is no indication that the untamed babble, the solitary sound, which exhausts the domain of the audible, is in any metaphysical sense inharmonious. Infant nature's wildness gives promise of a growth into orderly maturity. At this point, we are still in possession of an argumentative schema admitting of various interpretive developments. From what we have come to see of the treatment of both practical and speculative music in the writing of the period, we might expect the poem to take any one of a number of courses, an elaborate description of harmony as an ordering principle might follow, personified in Orpheus or Amphion, for example, or perhaps some moralized recounting of the fabled Pythagorean invention of the intervals. That's the famous inventor. But in the second stanza, Marvell induces Jubal, the father of all those who handle the harp and organ. Where'd he get him? As his heroic initiator of practical music. So he's a hero. You know Jubal?
No.
It was with Jubal that the metaphorical growth of empire begins. This is how you build an empire. The echoes of the original natural music. Natural, as is the sound of the wind in native tree forest as compared to the sounds played upon the wood of those same yew trees fashioned into lutes and old figure are treated, whereas throughout the poem as men. Solon means merely solitary here, and we have the sense of two images working at once. Men are called from their poor lonely caves. We are tempted to continue the paraphrase with solitary, poor, nasty, brutish, short, for the stage of growth of empire is the very birth of society itself. On the other hand, there is the distinct implication in cell of a monastic isolation, and music is here figured as breaking down the walls of monasteries by, oh my God, did they do that? Of summoning forth the inhabitants into a world of cities, into the realities of Protestantism and political economy. The organ is almost completely a secular instrument here. Read the poem again to see what happened to this musical empire of the Protestants. Musical empire, Andrew Marvell. First was the world as one great cymbal made, when jarring winds to infant nature played. All music was a solitary sound to hollow rocks and murmuring fountains found. That was the beginning. Jubal first made the wilder notes agree, and Jubal turned music's jubilee, called the echoes from their soul and cell, and built the organ city where they dwell. Each sought a consort in that lovely place, and virgin troubles wed the manly bass. From whence the progeny of numbers new into harmonious colonies withdrew. Some to the lute, some to the viol went, and others chose the cornet, eloquent. Those practicing the wind and those the wire, to sing men's triumphs or in heaven choir. Then music, the mosaic of the air, did of all these a solemn noise prepare, with which he gained the empire of the air, including all between the earth and sphere. Victorious sounds yet ere your homage due unto the gentler conqueror than you, who though he flies the music of his praise, would with you heaven's hallelujahs raise. Do you think it was Cromwell? Who knows? What's it got to do with the cost of beans in the Republic? We're talking about Protestantism. In the organ city, the population of musical sounds is fruitful and multiplies, starting with the pun on consort as sexual mate and instrumental ensemble. The images of stanzas depict the gradual overproduction of sounds in the city of towering pipes, resulting in a varied overflowing music, filling the whole world in search of Lebensraum, room to grow. The progeny of numbers new is undoubtedly all the musical compositions ever invented, here related through a quasi-genetic descent to the primal natural noises, harmonious names, both the populations and the political conditions of these colonies. What looks to be a rather conventional catalogue of the instruments in the four stanzas turned upside down by the fact that it is the music that seeks out the several instruments. We may see how, in the context between Welsh and English musicians and Dryden's poly-Olbion, various dispositions of different men were satisfied by their choice of instruments when they, quote, stroke up at once, and sung each to the instrument of sundry sorts that were as a musician likes, on which the practised hand with perfect fingering strikes, whereby their height of skill might liveliest be expressed. Trembling lute, some touch, some strain, the viol best. Draytons, poly-Olbion. We'll read the poem again. Stroke up at once, sung each to the instrument of sundry sorts they were, as the musician likes, on which the practised hand with perfectest fingering strikes, whereby their height of skill might liveliest be expressed. The trembling lute, some touch, some strain, the viol best. But the musical empire, the composed sounds themselves choose the instruments